Okay, so today for dinner I'm going to be making beef stroganoff, and I'm going to start with making my own condensed cream of mushroom soup. Now this recipe calls for butter and onions and mushrooms, flour, egg yolk. It calls for beef stock, but I'm going to go ahead and use beef bouillon cube just because it's easier for me. And then onions and thyme, parsley, some heavy whipping cream, and an egg yolk. I think I've already mentioned that. But so we're going to start with some butter, and we're going to put some onions in there. And it says about 1/4 cup. And I'm going to cook these until they get to be just nice and soft. I'm going to put those in there and just let them cook for a couple seconds. Except I like a little bit more onions, so I'm going to put a little more onions in there. So I just chop those up and set those in there. And let those cook for a couple minutes, and while I'm cooking those to where they're nice and soft, I'm going to start to cut up my mushrooms. Now these mushrooms have been washed. Some people say don't wash your mushrooms, but I say wash them at the very last moment because they do have ickies on there. You don't want to eat those ickies. You need to wash them. So I just put them in some cold water. I'm going to slice them up. Some people also say that you shouldn't use mushrooms that have the open cap. But I found that the ones with the open caps are the ones that actually have a better mushroom taste. So I'm just going to slice these up. I shouldn't say a better mushroom taste. I should say a stronger mushroom taste. So let's put these over here a little bit. And move those up a little bit. Just going to slice those carefully. Now, because I would normally use a condensed cream of mushroom soup with my stroganoff, but the cream of mushroom soup that you get in a can tastes to me slimy and icky and old and yucky. And then I learned how to make this cream of mushroom soup recipe, and decided that I would do it this way instead because this tastes so much better. Now I'm making a condensed version. If you didn't want to make this a condensed version, you would add 6 cups of water instead of just the 2 that I'm going to add. So that I want a real intense flavor of mushrooms and onions. Same, these mushrooms. Mushrooms don't add until later. The next thing I'm going to do is put in to my pan a little bit of flour, and then excuse me here, I can't talk and cut at the same time. I'm going to put in like a teaspoon of flour. This one I'm just going to get rid of because I don't like that. So these look almost soft and transparent. So let those go for just another minute. I'm turn that up just a tad bit. I'm going to end up putting flour in there. Now what I've also done is taken some beef bouillon, which I don't know if you can see that. And I've stuck them in some warm water. People say don't use beef bouillon cubes, but you know what? I don't have time to mess with making a broth. So for the moment, if I was going to cook this like for a Sunday dinner or something like that, and I had copious amounts of free time, I would go ahead and make my own beef stock, but I don't. So I'm just going to kind of melt those in some warm water to begin with, because I need a full cup of water, so I'm just going to use that to mix it in there. Okay, so then I'm going to fill this up some more with some warm water. So I just got beef bouillon with some water in there. So I'll set that to the side. Next thing I'm going to do is, since these look like they're good enough back here, so now there's all the excess butter in there, which is lovely stuff. I'm just going to take some flour, turn the heat up just a little bit. I don't want to brown the flour or brown the onions, but I do want them to cook a little bit so it doesn't taste like flour. Let me set up a little bit, kind of like dry and a little bit thicker. So you see that there, it's thick. It's coated the onions with the flour. So cook for just a couple minutes. And also, there for a second, I'm going to have some thyme and some parsley to go in with this. What I'm going to do is actually stick a pinch of thyme in my bouillon. Here, actually I'm going to put 2 pinches in there because I like to taste that. And then the same with the parsley. just like that. There's no reason why I can't add those at the same time. Saves me some time and saves me some time to put away these while that is cooking there. Again, it's starting to get a little bit brown here, so I am going to add quickly in one full swoop the whole thing, just like that. Now the flour and the water mixed together is going to thicken this, and you can see it has a nice, lovely color at the moment. Some of the bouillon's not quite dissolved all the way yet, but it will dissolve as it gets warmed up. So I'll keep stirring that, and then we'll put this away. And wait until this comes to a boil. And it thickens. So this should smell good too. And again, because I only put 1 cup of water in there, this is going to be a nice intense flavor. I'm using, let's see, I would put 3 cups of water. I'm using half of the recipe for the mushrooms and for the rest of the stuff. So if I use a full recipe, it would be like 2 cups of mushrooms, excuse me, 3 cups of mushrooms, actually, however many you want, and but 6 cups of water. This one I'm just going to use 1 cup of water. Now you can see this is starting to thicken up. Okay, that's where your cream of mushroom starts to come in. It gets nice and thick. I'm just going to let that boil just a little bit more, and then I'm going to put in a little bit of cream and my mushrooms. Actually, I think I'll put the mushrooms in next. Oops, I don't want that to boil too much, so I'm going to turn that down. Put my mushrooms in there and let those just kind of heat. Now any of the water that you would have washed these in will be evaporated when it's cooking. I'm just going to let that go there. Now I'm going to need 1 egg yolk. I'm going to break that egg here, and then I'm going to very carefully open that and just go from one eggshell to the other until I only have an egg yolk left. Just like that. Now what I need to do is add a 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. Now this egg white I'm not going to get rid of. I'm just going to put that in with another egg white that I have over there. I'm going to take this egg yolk and I'm going to stick it in with a 1/4 cup of heavy cream, and then I'm going to mix that up. Not too much, just enough to break the yolk up and get those incorporated together. Now this cream and egg is going to help to thicken that even more. It's a nice lovely yellow color. Okay. So here are these mushrooms. Now I like to have nice big mushrooms. You don't have to have big mushrooms. If you want to make those even smaller, then you can do that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the cream with the egg yolk, and I'm going to mix this rather quickly when I put this in here, because what happens is if you put something cold like this into something hot like that, it'll cook the eggs really fast. So what I'm going to do is take these, put a little divot in there, and I'm going to put these in here and mix immediately, just like that. Bring that all up. And then again, this will get it all nice and thick. Now I'm going to let this simmer for about 10 minutes. Well, not really simmer. I'm just going to let it kind of, well, just barely simmer, because I want all these flavors to meld together. Now, if you see this color right now, and look at that, you can see that this looks a heck of a lot like your cream of mushroom soup, except much better. You can actually see that you're using real mushrooms. You know that you have real milk in there, real eggs. You know there's real onions and real spices. You don't have a bunch of unnatural ingredients in there. I was going to get a can of cream of mushroom soup to show you, but they have a lot of ingredients in there that you can't pronounce. So anyway, I'm just going to taste that. You can see it's nice and thick. That tastes very good. Then I'm going to put this aside after it's cooked for a couple minutes. Put that aside and add it to my stroganoff.